The following can be inferred from the passage except. So we have to find an inference that is incorrect or outside the premise according to the passage. Option A says sonnet 130 was an anti-Petrarchan sonnet. This is a direct reference. We can see that in the first paragraph. Sonnet 130, written by William Shakespeare, developed into an anti-Petrarchan position by denying the image of Petrarchan poets' mistresses, who always were ideal and idolized. So this is something which is true according to the passage, can definitely be inferred. Option A is incorrect. Option B says the speaker did not really love his mistress. This is a reference to the last paragraph. Let's move to the last paragraph. Here we see, therefore his mistress was only used as an imagistic character. Not only that, the speaker had not shown any passion to his mistress. From beginning to end, we did not receive a clear idea whether the speaker truly loved his mistress or not. Now, this statement leaves it ambiguous whether the speaker truly loves his mistress or not. The option says the speaker did not really love his mistress. That we can infer from the last statement. It was more likely that he used his mistress as an image to express his feelings. So he did not actually love his mistress. It was just an imagistic character. So it can be inferred, it's a possibility that the speaker did not really love his mistress. It is highly likely that that is the case. So B is also incorrect. Option C tells us in both Petrarchan and anti-Petrarchan sonnets, the couplets were meant to distort the images created earlier. Now, when we say anti-Petrarchan sonnets, what we mean is, to an extent, Elizabethan sonnets, in particular, Shakespeare sonnets, because sonnet 130 by Shakespeare, as we have established in the first option, option A, was directly anti-Petrarchan. It developed into an anti-Petrarchan position. The couplets were meant to distort the images created earlier. This is incorrect. This cannot be inferred because we see in the third paragraph, the couplet has been explained. On the other hand, Elizabethan sonnets consisted of 3 quatrains with a couplet with a rhyme scheme of AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. So we have these 3 quatrains, and this GG at the end is the couplet. The couplet often served as a turn in the sonnet. So a turn in the sonnet may distort the image created earlier. In sonnet 130, its couplet served as a classical twist. So at least in sonnet 130, the anti-Petrarchan sonnet, this does happen. It served as a classical twist, or it seems to suggest, the passage seems to suggest that it distorted the images created earlier. But that said, in both Petrarchan and anti-Petrarchan sonnets, the couplets is incorrect because this structure was only relevant to Elizabethan sonnets. Sonnet 130 being an example of an Elizabethan sonnet. Couplets mentioned here, couplets did not exist in Petrarchan sonnets, and that we can see from the first line, first statement of the third paragraph. Petrarchan sonnets consisted of an octave and a sestate with a rhyme scheme of ABBA, ABBA, CDE, CDE. So an octave and a sestate, where at the end of the octave, there would usually be a turn in the sonnet. So the couplet did not exist in Petrarchan sonnets. So if it didn't exist in the Petrarchan tradition, how could it distort the images created earlier? In this, if there were a distortion, we see that there would be a turn in the sonnet, not necessarily a distortion. If there were a distortion, it would come at the end here, at the end of the octave. At the end of the octave, there would usually be a turn in the sonnet. So this is quite incorrect. Hence, C is a valid answer. Option D says the Petrarchan sonnets depended largely on metaphors for the beauty of their mistresses. This is also quite true. Again, let us move back to the first and second paragraphs. We see first off that the blazon has been explained here in the first paragraph. The application of blazon, which is a form of Petrarchan conceit, would emphasize more on the metaphorical perfection of the mistresses compared to natural objects that were created by God. Hence, when the mistresses were better than nature, there would be nothing better than the mistresses. And this then is exemplified in the last statement. Any lover's mistress in Petrarchan poet's sonnet would expect to have eyes that vie the sun, lips that are redder than coral, breasts as white as snow, and hair that shines. Nevertheless, the speaker created his mistress, the speaker of sonnet 130, to a contradictory image of an ideal lover. The speaker insisted that his mistress's eyes were nothing like the sun. Coral was far more red than her lips. Lips is red, and if snow be white, then her breasts were dun. He also commented that if hairs be wires, black wires grew on her head. Furthermore, her skin was dark and not smooth. Her breath was unpleasant too. These descriptions summed up to an objectionable image of her. So the Petrarchan sonnets most certainly largely depended on metaphors for the beauty of their mistresses. The metaphors being the mistresses being better than natural objects that were created by God, examples given here. So this is also quite true, definitely can be inferred from the passage. Hence, D is incorrect. We can eliminate it. The correct answer is option C.